4:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The duty officer at NORAD's Cheyenne Mountain Complex stares at his screen. 3 thermal signatures bloom over the Arctic Circle. They shouldn't be there. His hand hovers over the red phone for 2 full seconds. 2 seconds that feel like drowning. Then he lifts the receiver, and the world begins its descent into a different kind of existence. The missiles are already flying. Not 1, not 2. 18 inbound trajectories painting arcs across radar screens in 3 continents. Hypersonic glide vehicles screaming through the upper atmosphere at Mach 27. From launch to impact, the timeline is 12 minutes. 12 minutes to wake presidents. 12 minutes to authorize counterstrikes. 12 minutes for 7 billion people to continue sleeping, eating breakfast, or checking their phones, completely unaware that the architecture of civilization is crumbling above their heads. You don't hear about it yet. Nobody does. The alert broadcast system hasn't activated. Your phone sits silent on the nightstand. Outside your window, the morning light filters through curtains the same way it did yesterday and the day before. But in deep bunkers and submarine command centers, voices crack with controlled urgency. Authorization codes are verified. Fail-safes are bypassed. Strategic bombers that were grounded 60 seconds ago now taxi toward runways with engines already screaming. The first detonation occurs at 4:59 a.m. over the North Atlantic. An interceptor missile meets an incoming warhead at the edge of space. The electromagnetic pulse from the collision is relatively contained. Relatively. But it's a preview. It's the tremor before the earthquake. Satellites blink offline. GPS signals stutter. In server farms across Virginia and California, backup systems engage without anyone noticing. Yet, 5:03 a.m., the first ground impact. A city that has stood for 3 centuries becomes a physics equation. The fireball expands at a rate that human perception cannot process. 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, then 10,000. Then heat that has no comparison outside the surface of stars. The blast wave follows milliseconds later, traveling faster than sound, carrying pressures that turn concrete into powder and steel into shrapnel. Those within 2 miles of ground zero don't die. They simply stop existing. There's no pain, no awareness. One moment they are sleeping or starting coffee makers or kissing children goodbye. The next moment there is only physics. The thermal radiation arrives first, turning skin to char before nerve endings can report pain. The pressure wave arrives next, but there's nothing left to crush. Buildings don't collapse. They vaporize at their base and tumble like children's blocks. 3 miles out, people have half a second. They see the flash through windows. Some turn toward it instinctively. The last thing their retinas register is light brighter than anything biological eyes evolved to process. The windows explode inward. Not breaking, exploding. 10,000 shards traveling at speeds that turn glass into bullets. The walls follow. Not falling, flying. And then the heat arrives and none of it matters anymore. You wake up, not because of the blast. You're 200 miles away. You wake up because your phone is screaming. Not ringing, screaming. The emergency alert system tone that everyone knows, but nobody ever expects to hear for real. Your screen shows a message in block letters. Ballistic missile threat inbound. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. Your hands shake as you try to unlock the screen. It takes 3 attempts. Your heart isn't beating. It's hammering. Each pulse feels like it might crack ribs. You check the time. 5:04 a.m. You think maybe this is a hack, some elaborate prank. You open Twitter, Facebook, Reddit. Every platform is chaos. People posting the same alert from different cities, different states. Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Seattle. The messages are identical except for the location codes. You move to the window. Outside, nothing has changed. Streetlights glow. A cat walks across a lawn. Someone's sprinkler system turns on with mechanical precision. The cognitive dissonance is paralyzing. How can the world be ending when Mrs. Henderson's roses are being watered? Then you see it, on the horizon. A light that doesn't belong. It's dawn, but this isn't the sun. This is something else. A dome of brightness swelling upward, turning from white to orange to dark red at its edges. You can't tell how far away it is. Your brain has no reference point for something this large. It could be 20 miles. It could be 100. The light is bright enough to cast shadows in your bedroom, even though it's across the horizon. The mushroom cloud forms slowly, majestically, obscenely. It climbs into the sky like something alive and malevolent. The cap spreads, the stem churns. Even from this distance you can see it pulsing. Debris and fire and smoke mixing into a tower that will be visible from space. Your phone rings. Your mother, your brother, your ex-girlfriend. You answer none of them. You can't form words. Your television turns on automatically. Every channel shows the same thing. Emergency broadcast screens. Then a news anchor appears. Her makeup is wrong. Her hair is wrong. She's been pulled from sleep just like you. Her voice cracks as she reads from a paper someone just shoved into her hands. Multiple nuclear detonations have been confirmed on United States soil. The president has been moved to a secure location. Citizens are advised to shelter in place immediately. Move to interior rooms away from windows. If you are outdoors, seek the nearest building. Do not attempt to travel. I repeat, do not attempt to travel. The anchor pauses. You can see her swallow. Her eyes move off camera as someone says something. When she looks back, her professional mask is gone. God help us all. The broadcast cuts to a map. Red circles bloom across it like a disease spreading. Each circle represents a detonation. You count them. Stop counting at 12. Your city isn't marked, yet. That single word hangs in your mind like a blade. Yet. Outside you hear car engines starting. Doors slamming, voices shouting. Your neighbors are running. You should run too. Every instinct screams at you to move. But the anchor said shelter. The alert said shelter. And you don't know which direction safety lies or if safety even exists anymore. 5:19 a.m. 14 minutes since the first impact. The electromagnetic pulse from a high-altitude detonation washes across the eastern seaboard. It's invisible, tasteless, silent, but it's devastating. The electrical grid doesn't fail gradually. It dies instantly. Transformers explode in cascading chains. Substations go dark. In homes and hospitals and data centers, backup generators kick in. But the pulse has fried circuits at a molecular level. Many generators turn on for 5 seconds, then die forever. Your lights go out. The television dies mid-sentence. Your phone shows full battery, but when you try to call someone, there's no signal. Not weak signal. No signal. The cellular network has collapsed. Your internet router sits dark and useless. The modem is dead. Every device that needs electricity or connectivity has become an expensive paperweight in the span of a single second. You try your car, the engine turns over but won't catch. The computer systems that govern fuel injection and timing have been corrupted by the pulse. Your car, built in 2019, is too new, too dependent on electronics, it's dead in your driveway. Your neighbor's 1987 pickup truck starts on the first try. You watch him speed away, truck bed empty except for a single bag he must have grabbed in panic. The streets are filling. People on foot now. Some carry bags. Some carry nothing. A woman runs past your house holding a child in each arm. Her face is pure animal terror, no thought. No plan, just movement, just escape. From what? Toward what? It doesn't matter. The human brain isn't built for nuclear war. It's built for lions and bears and enemies you can see. This enemy is wind and particles and invisible death that might arrive in 10 minutes or 10 hours. You make a decision. You go back inside. You remember something from school, from a documentary, from some half-forgotten article. Shelter is survival, not movement. Not panic, shelter. You go to your bathroom. No windows, interior walls. You fill your bathtub with water before remembering the water pressure depends on electric pumps. The tub fills halfway, then slows to a trickle. You fill every container you can find. Pots, pitchers, empty milk jugs. The radio. You have a battery-powered radio in the closet. You find it. Turn it on. Static, more static. Then a voice. Automated, mechanical. ... Remain indoors. Fallout is expected to reach metropolitan areas within the next 2 to 4 hours. If you are outside, seek shelter immediately. Cover your nose and mouth. Remove outer layers of clothing before entering shelter. Seal windows and doors. Turn off ventilation systems. The message repeats. You listen 3 times before you realize it's a loop, recorded, not live. Someone programmed this message days or weeks or years ago, and now it plays to empty air while the people who recorded it are either deep underground or already dead. 5:34 a.m. The second wave begins. Retaliatory strikes. Strategic submarines that were hiding in ocean trenches receive their final orders. Launch codes are entered. Missiles break the surface in columns of steam and fire. They arc upward and disappear into the darkness, heading east, heading west, heading toward cities full of people who are just now waking up to their own alerts, their own emergency broadcasts, their own horizons full of unnatural light. This is the cascade. The doctrine of mutually assured destruction is no longer theoretical. It's kinetic. It's real. Every nuclear power is making the same calculation. If we're dying, so are they. The missiles fly in overlapping patterns. Hundreds of warheads now in the air. Some target cities. Some target military installations. Some target command bunkers buried under mountains. The geography of targets becomes meaningless. Everything is a target. You hear the sound now. Finally, the blast wave from the first detonation has traveled 200 miles. It's not the sharp crack of an explosion. It's something deeper, lower, a pressure wave that you feel in your chest before you hear it with your ears. Your windows rattle. Picture frames fall from walls. Car alarms trigger in a chorus up and down the street. But the windows don't break. You're far enough. Barely. The sky changes color. Even through your bathroom walls, you sense it. You risk a glance outside. The sun is rising, but it's competing with something else. The mushroom clouds, plural now, have spread. Their caps have flattened against the upper atmosphere. The wind at that altitude is carrying them east. Beneath them, the sky is brown and gray. Ash and debris and radioactive particles are beginning to fall. It looks like snow, gentle, almost beautiful, deadly. Your neighbors are returning. The ones who ran are coming back. They have nowhere to go. The highways are parking lots. Gas stations are mobs of desperate people fighting over pumps that don't work. One man stumbles up his driveway. His face is bleeding. His shirt is torn. He makes it to his front door and collapses. You want to help. You don't move. The calculus of survival is becoming brutally simple. Help means exposure. Exposure means death. 6 a.m., 1 hour and 13 minutes since the first missile launch. The president speaks from an undisclosed location. His face appears on the few televisions still working, the ones connected to generators or battery backup. His voice is broadcast on AM radio frequencies, on shortwave, on military channels. My fellow Americans, we have suffered an unprecedented attack on our homeland. Multiple cities have been targeted with nuclear weapons. Our armed forces have responded in kind. I can confirm that we have launched retaliatory strikes against the aggressor nation. As of this moment, we are in a state of total war. He continues, but his words are less important than what he doesn't say. He doesn't say how many cities were hit. He doesn't say how many dead. He doesn't say what happens next, because nobody knows. The protocols were written for limited exchanges. Tactical strikes? This is neither limited nor tactical. This is comprehensive. This is the scenario that strategic planners called unthinkable, and then thought about anyway. In hospitals, doctors are making impossible decisions. The burn victims are starting to arrive. Not from the blast zones. Those people are gone. These are from 10, 15, 20 miles out. Flash burns, radiation exposure, trauma from collapsing buildings. There aren't enough beds. There aren't enough doctors. There isn't enough morphine in the world for this much pain. Triage becomes selection. Who gets treatment? Who gets comfort? Who gets nothing but a blanket in a hallway while they wait to die? The grocery stores are gone. Not destroyed. Emptied. The people who ran earlier are returning with cars full of canned goods and bottled water and anything edible. Some paid. Most didn't. The concept of money is fading. Credit cards need networks. Cash needs trust. Both are in short supply. The store owners don't call police. Police aren't answering. They're with their own families or dead or overwhelmed by 10,000 simultaneous emergencies. You inventory your supplies. 3 days of food if you ration, maybe 4. A bathtub half full of water, batteries, flashlights, a camping stove you bought 3 years ago and never used. It's not enough, but then nothing would be enough. You could have a bunker full of supplies, and it wouldn't change the fundamental fact. The world above ground is becoming unlivable. The fallout begins to arrive. The heavier particles first, chunks of debris that glow faintly in the dim light. They're radioactive enough to kill within hours of exposure. They land on rooftops, on lawns and playgrounds. The finer particles are still aloft. They'll fall for days, weeks, coating everything in a gray dust that looks harmless and destroys cells on contact. Your dosimeter, the one you bought during the Cold War resurgence, starts clicking, slowly at first, then faster. You're inside. But radiation doesn't respect walls. Not entirely. Not this much radiation. You move to the center of your house, away from exterior walls. You stack books around yourself, thick ones. Every layer of material between you and the outside is armor. Inadequate armor, but armor nonetheless. 6:47 a.m. You hear a knock, weak, barely audible. You approach the door. Don't open it. A voice from outside. Please. I have children. Please. You look through the peephole. A woman, 2 kids, maybe 8 and 10 years old. Their clothes are covered in ash. Gray dust clings to their hair, their faces. You know what that dust is. You know what it means. If you open the door, you let contamination inside. If you let them in, you're sealing your own fate. If you don't, you're listening to children die on your doorstep. You hesitate. The woman knocks again. Weaker. You make your choice. Whatever it is, you'll live with it. Or die with it. There's no right answer in this moment. There's only action and consequence. The radio crackles. Another message. This one is live. A voice strained with exhaustion. ... reports of additional launches from secondary sites. NORAD confirms multiple inbound trajectories. Estimated impact times vary. All citizens and designated zones must shelter immediately. This is not ... This is not a secondary alert. This is ongoing. The attack is ongoing. The second hour is beginning. You realize the first hour wasn't the war. It was the opening, the introduction. The real war, the one that will burn through continents and collapse civilizations, is just starting. You sit in your makeshift shelter, surrounded by walls that offer the thinnest promise of protection. Above you, missiles are still flying. Around you, the infrastructure of modern life is disintegrating. The electrical grid is gone. Communications are fragmentary. Supply chains have evaporated. The social contract, that invisible agreement that keeps humans from tearing each other apart, is failing. In the first hour of nuclear war, you learn a truth that humans have hidden from themselves for 70 years behind walls of deterrence and diplomacy. Civilization is not a permanent state. It's a temporary condition. A thin shell held together by electricity, logistics, and collective belief. When those things break, what remains is not noble or dignified. It's survival. Raw, brutal, unforgiving. The sky outside is darkening, not because night is falling, because the smoke from burning cities is rising, meeting, merging into a pall that will cover continents. The scientists called it nuclear winter. They wrote papers about it, models, predictions. They were wrong about many details, but they were right about the core truth. When you set the world on fire, the smoke doesn't disappear. It lingers. It spreads. It blocks the sun. You think about yesterday, about the things you worried about. Bills, traffic, an argument with a coworker. Those problems exist in a universe that no longer applies. They're relics of a world that ended at 4:47 a.m., when a duty officer picked up a phone and spoke words that couldn't be unsaid. The first hour is over. You survived it. But survival is no longer measured in achievement. It's measured in postponement. The question isn't whether you'll die from this. The question is when, and how much of your humanity you'll keep before that moment arrives. Outside, the fallout continues to descend. Silent, patient, inevitable. It coats the world in a layer of ending. And somewhere in bunkers and command centers, leaders are making decisions about the second hour, the third, the 100th. Each decision propelling humanity further from the world that was and deeper into the world that is. You survived the first hour. Now comes everything after.